Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, the 11th of May. What a wondrous day it is today. It's proclamation news and gatherings with the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson, PNG. Let's have a look what we have in store today. We've got Carlington's, Essex Live, Hertfordshire Live, child abuse, West Ham at Stansted Airport, verbal abuse, and Michael Gove. Welcome on board. Think safety, think first. Plan your destination. Do not enter the vehicle under sleep deprivation, under influence, alcoholism, and narcotics. Check your engine oil, your water coolant tank. Make sure they're topped up to maximum level. Make sure you and passengers have seatbelts on, and babies have seatbelts adjacent to the car seat. Make sure your car's taxed, MOT, your car's insured. Check for further police actions, road safety signs, check for road workers. Make sure not living behind a fence. Drive vigilantly around by works where you see road signs. Check your centre mirror wing mirror before turning, acting into a safe, sufficient direction choice. Try not to eat while you're at the steering of the vehicle because you take your eyes off the road. Try and open your packet of crisps, you take your eyes off the road. So I opened the packet of crisps before I started driving because you don't. You do not. Or on your mobile phone. There's another thing that causes tragic incidents on the UK roads. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Appreciate it ever so much. We're going to look at car incidents today. What do we have here? Interesting. Sheltered, we have a car incident in Essex, A12. Traffic problem, traffic coping well. Reports of problem A12 at junction 15, A414. The 3 Mill Hill traffic is coping well. Sensors aren't showing any impact yet, but police are on the way to investigate. 8:54 a.m. today reported. A12 congestion. Traffic heavier than normal on A12 into town at A406 North Circular, Redbridge roundabout congestion to Gants Hill, and North Circular Q southbound from M11 5:47 a.m. first reported. M25, one lane closed due to stalled van on M25 anti-clockwise before junction 24. A111 Stag Hill Potters Bar. Traffic is going well in lane 1 of 4. 8:49 a.m. first reported. West of London, slow traffic on A312 Church Road northbound from A4180 Ruislip Road, White Hart roundabout to A40 Target roundabout. 7:04 a.m. first reported. Stevenage, earlier crash involving heavy traffic. 2 cars involved in A1 southbound from junction 7 A602 Broad Hall Way, Stevenage South first reported. Let's have a look south of London, see what we have there, or even actually, let's have a look at a bit of a. Oh, we've got incident in Cambridge. A14, one lane closed with stalled vehicle on A14 westbound at junction 25 B1050 Hattons Road, Bar Hill. Traffic is coping well. Just gonna look at Essex Live. We're gonna look in Essex Live, see what we have here. Wow. Bus destroyed by fire on the A13. Eastbound exit Slip Road, Stanley Hope bypass was closed on Tuesday night. Wow, that is horrific of an incident. Have a little look at this. bus. Was anyone hurt? Essex police have shared a dramatic picture of a bus destroyed by fire A13, leading to a closure of a slip road. Remarkably, the blaze was safely extinguished. Stanley Ho bypass eastbound exit slip road was closed on Tuesday evening, but the A13 Five Bells interchange is open in both directions. Motorists have been advised to avoid the area. Essex Roads policing said on Twitter at 9:40 on Tuesday evening. Currently still at the scene was a double-decker bus at Five Bells exit southbound at A13 Essex Recovery working as hard as they can to remove it and repair the service. The cause of the fire was not yet been revealed. Essex Police said in an earlier tweet, "We are currently on the scene of vehicle Five Bells Interchange A13 Basden. Fire is out and A13 is open both directions, but off the slip road from the A13 southbound is closed until further notice. Please use alternative routes. Thank you for your patience." Wow, that is a horrific blaze there. I'm just going to share my comments, ladies and gents, so just please bear with me a moment.
A high consequence.
But you heard the call from Rosemary just now.
Yeah.
She couldn't get into her own home. That can't be right.
I mean, it's hard, but it's also...
No, it's not hard. It's wrong.
I mean, it's also a difficult situation to put tenants when within 2 months they've got to find an extra month's rent, a large deposit on top of the bills that they may be facing.
Rosemary's marriage fell apart. Rosemary's marriage fell apart, which is most unfortunate. She spends thousands of pounds and waits 2 years before she can get... That cannot be right. You must accept that.
I would accept that. I think there's an element where there needs to be better systems in place to sell with sitting tenants or to help alleviate...
Why should she take a hit on the... Let's say her flat was worth 250. I'm just making it.
Right.
Why should she take a hit of 100 grand because she's got sitting tenants? Why should she do that?
I mean, I don't think that's right either, but then at the same time, there does need to be protection because when you've got people who are living hand to mouth month to month and they've suddenly got to find essentially another month's worth of expenses with like 2 months notice, otherwise they face homelessness, that's also not very fair.
So I will leave it there. I'm grateful for your input. You had the last word. Apologies to William, Josh, Neil and others, but we are done for another day. Coming up tomorrow, obviously, reports with the Prime Minister as he comes to Finland and meets with his Finnish counterpart, having been to Sweden as well, edging those closer to nature. That'll be in tomorrow's show. I'm done for today. James O'Brien is the other side of the news on LBC. I'm back with you from London tomorrow morning from 7. Meantime, stay safe.
Thank you, Nick. The time is approaching 10 o'clock, and it's a bit of a tricky morning, this. It's a little hard to pick what is of most concern. The cost of living crisis utterly ignored yesterday in the Queen's speech, and of course, almost inevitably, a little later in the day, Boris Johnson promised something was on the way, and then got slapped down by the Treasury, who revealed that it was the first they'd heard of it. But hey-ho, of course, compared to the unravelling situation in Northern Ireland, the cost of living crisis can be described as a short-term catastrophe, as opposed potentially to a long-term one, and sundry other things that demand our attention, including something that's just popped up in front of me, and it is people appearing to celebrate the opening of a food bank. I think we might talk about that.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation, this is LBC. From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, Michael Gove has rejected calls for an emergency budget to deal with the growing cost of living crisis. The Levelling Up Secretary says Boris Johnson's suggestion that further support would be announced soon has been overinterpreted. Joe Kerr is from the anti-poverty charity Turn to Us and has told LBC about some of the calls they've had recently from people struggling to afford rising bills.
Last week our helpline had someone, a mum, call up say she needed support and she couldn't afford bills like energy and food. And when she was asked when she last ate, she said it had been days. Her kids had been eating. It was just that she wasn't making meals for herself. I mean, just horrific.
A journalist for Al Jazeera has been shot dead while covering an Israeli raid in the West Bank. Shireen Abu Akleh was among 2 reporters hit in the town of Jenin. The broadcaster has blamed Israeli forces, but Israel says it's investigating the possibility that they were hit by Palestinian gunmen. Twin girls in Leicestershire have been found safe and well. Police have been searching for 11-year-olds Gracie and Millie Bennett after they were reported missing from near their home near Loughborough last night. Donald Trump could soon be back on Twitter. The former US president.
Get on with the rest of the segment, ladies and gents. We're going to come back to a short panic break. Thank you all for tuning in today. One of my pet hates is fly tipping. One of my pet hates, absolute pet hates. Environmentalism damage. Fly tip rubbish cleared up in Potters Bar. Car loads of rubbish were removed as part of a major community clean-up in Potters Bar. Officers from Westmisnter Borough Council joined forces with the Probation Service Community Payback to collect rubbish on Cranbourne Parade, an unadopted road, and transport it to local tip. The volunteers cleared more than 30 bags of waste, including a Christmas tree, furniture, tyres and other general household waste. At the end of the day, the rubbish was taken to Potters Bar Recycling Centre to be disposed of responsibly. Councillor Pervez Chowdhury, portfolio holder of the community safety, said, "Thank you to the officers from both our community safety team and community payback for clearing the road of rubbish. Everyone who took part volunteered their time to take part in today's successful clearance event, which has gone some way to improving the local landscape." I'm going to talk to you about this in a minute because it's horrific, isn't it? Fly tipping. Do people actually realise the damage they're possibly doing to the environment? I'm disappointed with irresponsible people continuing to litter and illegally dispose of materials in this way, ruining the landscape and environment and having no regard whatsoever for others. There is no excuse for littering or fly tipping, and it will not be tolerated. This attitude costs local authorities thousands of pounds a year to clear up vital funds, which can now be spent on essential services and supporting our communities. At the Council, we have a number of ways in which people can dispose of waste, whether through our curbside waste and recycling collections, bulky waste collections, local bins, and of course local tips. If you're out, please keep hold of your waste until you get home or go past the bin. It's simple. Fly tipping is a criminal offence. You can be persecuted even if your waste is fly tipped by someone else. Householders can be issued with a £300 fixed penalty notice reduced to £200 if paid within 10 days, or criminal conviction in court if the domestic waste is fly tipped. Go back to short amid break, ladies and gents, and then we're coming back to proclamation news and Gavin's to brush up with the show. Thank you all for staying tuned. Appreciate you guys.
Which is the existential threat, perhaps, to the royal family that is being posed in some quarters, not in the immediate short term or anything like that, but I genuinely do want to know what you think the Queen should do. I don't know why. I have no idea why. And obviously what we think has no bearing on anything, and all that matters is what she wants to do. If she wants to carry on cutting ribbons and greeting people and going walkabout, if she can, then good luck to her. And if she doesn't want to, then she shouldn't have to. But I don't know why. We'll probably get onto it later in the programme. I'm just giving you a heads up. Can you tell that my interest is sincere? I wonder whether you can. I mean, is there like a robot or something? Can you like a sort of lie detector test? But not quite a lie detector test, but like a sincerity detector test. I genuinely want to know what you think, because I don't really know. I did find myself thinking one thing. There was a call on LBC later yesterday after I'd finished work, and the lady suggested that it would have been rather nice if the Queen had turned up in a mobility vehicle. And my mum won't mind me telling you that she's now nowhere near as mobile as she used to be. She's younger than the Queen. It's important I stress that. But she's nowhere near as mobile as she used to be. And you know, we've made inquiries, and if she comes to visit London, I've got a wheelchair off Argos, would you believe? But I'm quite happy to wheel her around because it's only for long distances and it's not too taxing. But it would have been wonderful, wouldn't it, for people? This is what the caller suggested yesterday. If the Queen had turned up in a mobility scooter, it would have sort of, I don't know. Anyway, we digress. We may return to that a little later in the program. I don't know if we are going to return to the working from home story. I mean, it's pretty pathetic that after an entire Queen's speech during a time of crisis in Northern Ireland, crisis with cost of living, all sorts of threats to our livelihoods and our wherewithals, a veterinary crisis looming at the border. The Financial Times has got a fascinating story on that. And the only thing that the editor of the
James proclamation was gathered back. Apply for I mean, being 85, what's the worst case scenario as a father, especially an 80 parent? You're on the up, your life's on the brink of being so etiquette than you was before. Well, my life has always been pretty etiquette, and I've always tried to be the best version of me I can be. And most one thing for me being an A&A parent is my children being abused. So I've applied for a very, very warranted job looking after children through child abuse or chance of being abducted or sexually assaulted, human trafficking of children, horrific. Prevent as well, and I've done a prevent course before. Prevent could be anything. Prevent what? Prevent radicalisation. Prevent manipulation, malnutrition, anything neglect towards a child or bullying. We need to keep a close eye on these youngsters. Anyway, child abuse is appalling. It's a crime against some of the most vulnerable in society. It's something that is not often discussed or well understood, and there has been lack of complete statistics. For the first time, we've complied a range of indicators from different data sources to enable better understanding of the extent and circumstance of child abuse. Our statistics on abuse experienced in childhood in England and Wales include data on sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect. Crime survey for England and Wales stated that 1 in 5 adults aged 18 to 74 years experienced at least one form of child abuse, whether emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or witnessing domestic violence or abuse. Before the age of 16 years, 8.5 million people. In addition, an estimated 1 in 100 adults aged 18 to 74 years experienced physical neglect. Before the age of 16 years, 481,000 people. This includes not being taken care of or not having enough food, shelter, or clothing, but it does not cover all types of neglect. An estimated 3.1 million adults aged 18 to 74 years were victims of sexual abuse before the age of 16 years. This includes by both adult and child perpetrators. Prevalence was higher for females than males for each type of abuse, with the exception of physical abuse, but it has no difference. Many cases of child abuse remains hidden. Around 1 in 7 adults called for a national association for people abused in childhood, NAPAC. Helpline had not told anyone there was abuse before. It is possible to identify 227,530 child abuse offences recorded by the police in the year ending in March 2019. Childline delivered 19,847 counselling sessions to children in the UK where abuse was the primary concern in the year ending March 2019. Sexual abuse accounted for nearly half, 45% of these, and has become the most common type of abuse cancelled by children in recent years. At the 31st of March 2019, 52,260 children in England were the subject of Child Protection Plan (CPP), and 2,820 children in Wales were on the Child Protection Register (CPR) because of experience of the risk of abuse or neglect. Neglect was the most common category of abuse in England, and emotional abuse was the most common in Wales. At the 31st of March 2019, 49,570 children in England and 4,810 children in Wales were looked after by local authority because of the experience or the risk of abuse or neglect. Around half of adults, 52%, who experience abuse before the age of 16 years, also experience domestic abuse later in life, compared with 30% those who did not experience abuse before the age of 16 years. If you want any help and support, Childline, number Childline 0800 help for victims of abuse offers online support. Mine can be called on 0300 123 or emailed. National Association for People Abused in Childhood can be called on 0808 801 0331. National Society for Prevention of Cruelty from Children and Rape Crisis, Samaritans, and Survivors Trust Victim Support. National Male Survivor Helpline can be called. I'm going to do a little thing on this just shortly. We're going to talk about this West Ham fans in court. West Ham fans in court on racially aggravated charges at Stansted Airport flight. They are facing a potential trial following their alleged abuse on the flight that departed Stansted Airport. Two West Ham fans accused of racially aggravated harassment while en route to a match in Europe have appeared before Crown Court Judge Lee Carey, 56, and a 31-year-old Jack Bruce are accused of chanting racist abuse while departing flight from Stansted Airport to Eindhoven in the Netherlands on November 4th last year. Carey of Romford and Bruce, Dartford, Kent, are alleged to have directed abuse towards a man in the Orthodox Jewish dress on a flight from Stansted Airport. Essex police said the pair were travelling to a game against Belgian side Genk. They're not asked to enter a plea during a brief hearing at Chelmsford Crown Court today. At an early hearing at Chelmsford Magistrate Court, both men indicated they would deny the alleged public order offence. Defendants, who are both on bail, appeared at the hearing by video link, and each spoke only to confirm their identity. Judge David Turner QC adjourned the case until May 17 for the prosecution to consider whether it has jurisdiction. Ghent. I've been to Ghent in Belgium. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been to Ghent. We're going to have a short break, ladies and gents.
So to see the photos of the Conservatives smiling as if it's a good thing, that it should be celebrated to open a food bank. No, we should be celebrating when we get to close the food banks.
That's a long way off, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, but you know, I mean, we should be celebrating when the food banks close for good. That's when we should be having parties and celebrating, because we've reached a point in society where we no longer need them.
So the fellow with the scissors is Jeremy Kite, MBE no less, leader of the council, the Conservative leader of the council. Can the likes of you, can mere mortals like you and I, begin to understand the sequence of events that led to this photo opportunity? At no point did anybody in their circle say, I don't know if this is going to look good, lads. I mean, come on, it's a food bank, you're cutting a ribbon on, not a bloody leisure centre.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't get my head around it.
No, neither can I. Joe.
And the idea that we should celebrate the closing of them is I mean, it's a bittersweet suggestion, that, because we seem to be needing more and more. In fact, you know that with the cost of living crisis, there's going to be an increased need for food banks. A lot of you are referring me back to those Vox